In my last video, I received this question here. Shout out to you, sis, for giving me this video idea. I was going to type up the answer, but I felt like this would be a really good video to answer to kick off Vlogmas. So if you want to know the answer to that question as well, as always, let's get started. Hey y'all, my name is Tasha. I am mom of 3, wife to T. I am an educator, and I am currently on a health and wellness journey, and I'm now using the medication Zepbound to help me. So my channel name is Be Self4ul, and the 4 represents the 4 levels of self that I feel like you have to conquer in order to reach the ultimate level of well-being or wellness. This was something that I was researching real heavily back in 2020 when I felt like I was going crazy. I was working in a school. I have chronic kidney disease. My hometown got hit with COVID real bad. And I just felt like, Lord, you're going to take me out this year. And I wasn't ready to go. And I saw a therapist a couple of times. And then I just started getting real deep into my spiritual wellness and personal development. And within that, God just revealed some things to me that basically got me through it. And it became Be Self4ul. That's my mantra. I have to be self-esteem because it incorporates and includes everything that I feel you need in order to function in the highest level of self, right? And so I'll just go through the 4 levels of self and the things that got me through and how I feel like I am conquering that anxiety or what, I don't know. I was never diagnosed with anything, but for me, I feel much better because I know these things for myself. Now you can take it with a grain of salt. This is just me. I ain't no doctor. I don't even play one on TV. However, this was based off research. It ain't original at all. It's just research across all different levels and books and people who deal with personal development. And I was able to condense it as we do in education. We condense it to make it make sense. And for me, this is how it makes sense for me. So you can follow along, but you don't have to. This is just my journey. So the first one is, and I'm reading, this is like my notebook that I had, that I put everything in once I summarized it, right? So if I read, it's because I'm reading from this, my notes that I wrote all those years ago. But the 4 levels of self include self-love, self-esteem, self-respect, and self-care. And I'll define those for you right now. So self-love is clarity. It is basically, I think I would say Iyanla Vanzant basically wrote this. That means you need to know who God is, what he says about you, and what you do with that information. And so I was hitting the Bible heavy, trying to figure out all this information. And based on what I read, I came up with this. And I wrote, God is the creator of all things. He was here in the beginning and will be here well past the end. He is the most consistent being ever. He remains the same no matter the time, place, or day. He is consistent. He is the giver of life. He is perfect. He is trustworthy. He is a protector. He is patient. He is on time. He is just. He is gracious. He is faithful. He is righteous. He is merciful. He is a fortress. He is the light. He created us in his image. He supplies our every needs. He is always with us. He will fight with us. He will save us from our enemies. He sent to us an example in Jesus of how to live. He sent him to take on all of our sins. He allowed him to defeat the devil so that we can live in righteousness, sanctification, and redemption. Because of this, we can renew our lives. We can push through the past and walk in a new way. If you believe in him, he will continue to give you life, even if you die in the flesh. We are all extensions of him. As long as we continue to believe in him, we can do all things. No one can be against us if we are of God. And so my next question was, now that I know who he is, what he can do, what does that mean for me? And I wrote, I belong to God. God created me and placed me in my mother's womb. I was fearfully and wonderfully made. God knows everything about me. He knew me even before I was born. Things that I have buried, things that I want kept secret, God already knows it. He ordained my life before I was even in the womb. There is no need to hide. God created me for good works. He didn't give me the spirit of fear. He wants me to live in power, love, and self-control. I am no longer held in bondage to sin. I can do all things through Christ. He gives me strength. My way is perfect because of him. He is with me at all times. He upholds me. He has given me grace. I can live my truth. I am the salt of the earth. I am a light. And so now that I know who God is, now that I know what that means for me, what will I do for this? What will I do with this information? And I wrote, I will believe in him wholeheartedly. I will be faithful. I will shine my light. I will glorify God at all times. I will be a living sacrifice. I will take refuge in him. I will continue to renew my mind, work every day towards pleasing God. I will work towards my heart desires. I will live out God's perfect will for my life. I would read this paper every single day because I needed to believe it, y'all. I was struggling and I wanted to believe it. And when I tell you, once I started believing it, it was like a superpower. Can't nobody tell me nothing. I don't care who you are, what you believe. I can look at you and understand, you know what? I'm looking at you with the same eyes that God looks at you. We are his greatest creation. I may not like you as a human, but I have to accept you because you know what? If he said it about me, he said it about you. So I'm going to be mad, but I'm going to have empathy because I know that this is your flesh talking. It ain't who God created you to be. So it must be something wrong. And I pray for you that he corrects it in your life. Like that has given me so much power. People have no power over how I feel. Now I am human. I am very, very human. And I do get upset and I do have my moments. But because I know what my default is, I don't get low. I might get a little bit low, but I ain't going all the way down like I used to go. And that gives me comfort. Like it basically saved my life. So the next one is self-esteem. Now, self-esteem is basically how you treat you. Do you believe what God says about you, right? Now that you know what he says about you, we have clarity on who God is. Now we're going to define who we are because of this, right? And I wrote that it is when you are able to abandon negativity, when you are able to tap into your vulnerability. I hate saying that word. And when you're finding the focus on you. A lot of the times we tend to only accentuate the bad, right? But with the self-esteem, you are basically defining who you are, and this is who you're going to present to the world. But it starts with you understanding that, you know what, I am, what did I write? I am fearfully and wonderfully made. That means that everything about me was intentional. It was intentional. There are things that I love about myself, and there are things about myself that I don't like as much. But I am going to accept and I am going to love myself 100% because in God's eyes, I'm perfect. I just have to accept that within my flesh. Now, there are things that I don't like. Guess what? I don't have to accept those things. If it's in my power to change it, then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to work towards changing it. But I'm not going to hate myself because those things exist. This is who I am, and this is how I present to the world, to other people. They can accept it or they don't. Either way, I know whose I am. I'm going to still be me. I am a light, and I will not dim my light for anybody, not even for myself. A couple of videos back, remember, our biggest enemy can sometimes be our enemy. So I have to turn that little person off in my head and say, hey, you know what? That ain't who God created me to be. And I'm not going to let you, even me, tell myself anything other than that. All right. So first one is self-love, is how God sees you, who God is, how he sees you. Step 2 is self-esteem. It is believing it and defining yourself within it. And then my step 3 is self-respect. And now that you presented you to the world, this is your light. You're not gonna dim it for anybody. You get to give out permissions, right? You give yourself permission to operate within a certain way. You give other people permission to operate within a certain way when it comes to who you are. And I wrote, it is basically you living in your values, you're setting boundaries and learning how to respond versus react, right? So it's just basically you are saying, here I am. You either gonna love it or you gonna leave it. And it's okay either way. But because of who I am, this is how I need you to treat me. And you're telling yourself that too. This is how I need to be treated. And that can be on your job, with your family, with your finances, everything. You set boundaries and you operate within those boundaries because everything is in alignment. Everything is in alignment. And then the last one is self-care. And self-care is where you have that efficacy and that balance, where you are learning to fill your cup and you are incorporating routines and things of that nature to maintain that level of balance, right? And that could be you operating in your gifts. A lot of times we get caught up with work and we don't take time to do the things that bring us joy. I love to craft or create. If I'm not creating, y'all, I get a little moody. So, I'll go, if I get upset, I'm going to turn the camera on, or I'm going to go do a project in the basement or something like that, because that is my happy place and I need to recharge. And I can't depend on anybody else to recharge but me, right? And so it's basically that ensuring that all other levels of yourself are in balance. What are you going to do? And that's the fun part. So, yeah. And so in order to remind myself that I need to live within those 4, I call it be self-ul. And so that's some of the things that I say to myself every day. Girl, you got to be self-ul. He don't mean it. Be self-ul. I have to take a step back. Remind myself of who I am. Remind myself of whose I am. And knowing that I'm not going to, even though I want to cross this boundary, I'm not going to let you do it today. And then after it's over with, I'm going to treat myself, right? That's be self-ul. But yeah, and I thought it would be the perfect video, not perfect video, but the perfect channel name for me. And maybe one day I'll do something with it. You heard it here first. If somebody else do it, y'all know y'all heard it here first though, right? You heard it here first. But yeah, in Vlogmas, did I say that? I hope I did. If I didn't, this is my first video in Vlogmas. I hope to do all 25 days. But if not, I'm going to give it an old college try. Like, that's so lame, but whatever. Y'all know me by now. Y'all know I do crazy stuff. And hopefully I can finish the challenge. If not, and I hope that you all follow along with my Vlogmas. I know a lot of you all are here for the Zepbound information, and that will be incorporated. It's just going to be all over the place. Whatever, 25 videos is what I plan to do in the month of December. And I hope that you all watch all 25 of them. But if not, I'll see you when I see you. All right, y'all. As always, keep the joy in your journey, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.